Are you ready?
That was great. I ain't gonna lie. No, I'm kidding.
Oh, yeah, that's a great way to start it. Okay. What's up, YouTube world? It's your boy Nightmare 10 once again, and of course I had to do my intro because this is my thing. This is my show. Well, it's our show. Sorry. Big Rat's not here tonight. Maybe he will join us again one time, but we got Markeem with us. This one's gonna go on my channel, so I'll try to get it to where maybe Big Rat can share it or something like that. But this one will go on my channel, and we'll get his thoughts later. But Markeem, say what's up.
What's going on, y'all? This Sans Big Rat. It's not the same without him, but oh
It's
well.
not. It's not. And I will actually publicly.
Oh,
I'm gonna do
yeah.
something that is uncommon, Marquine. What'd you say?
I said I wanted to get something out before the
Me
playoffs,
too. And
man.
I want to apologize him for doing this without telling him. First of all, live on yeah no, yeah that's right. I'm telling him straight to his face, even though it's
And
on the internet.
don't put the business out there, man. Don't air the laundry.
Oh,
Don't air
okay.
the
All
laundry.
right. I won't air it. All right. All right. We're good. All right. I won't air it. I'll talk to him about it. All right. Anyways. Oh, I know everybody's gonna be like, "What's the drama?" You do things got drama. Listen. First of all, I just want to say this real quick, Marquine, before we start. I honestly believe that show is what, and call me crazy, but this is my thought process. I think God wanted us to do this as sport, or not wanted us like, oh, you're like, oh my God, God wants you to do a sports show. Like, no, we have passion for sports. This is something that we want to do, and that God is allowing us to do, and that's all. That's how I feel. I don't care what anyone else says, and I'm sure we'll get hate comments for that. But guess what? This is football, and we're not. Oh, don't talk about God. But it'll be all right. All right. So, anyways,
Hey, man. If anyone dislikes a comment because someone has faith, then they're goddamn
yeah,
moron.
and you're not. I don't know if you're gonna get blocked, but I'm not gonna like it too much. Let's put it that way. I can't promise I'll block you, but anyways, all right. So talk about football. I love God. I love everybody else. I love what me and Clark Keem is actually that people don't know. We've been on this call already for 3 hours. It seems like. So we're finally recording, but it's a great time to finally be back in Markeem, and I think I finally have the knowledge and thanks to you, thanks to Big Rat, and to me being able to have an avenue to discuss how I truly feel instead of 140 characters on Twitter, which we all know doesn't relay the facts.
Right? So
Um,
I hate that. I feel like it should be 200. That's just
yeah,
me.
give me just a little bit, because you have to send a tweet out and then you're going to send the next one. Well, now that tweet is looked at only by itself, and so just understand that when you're looking at someone's Twitter, if you don't understand it, that's fine. One day you will. It's okay. So here we are on YouTube Take, and here's our avenue to actually do that because God, YouTube has allowed us to do that. So and God, but anyways, I'm talking about YouTube. So YouTube has allowed us to do that, and guess what? We can do it and not have to pay anything, not have to do anything. Well, you pay for internet and all that, but. So here, oh crap! I just clicked something I shouldn't have clicked. Let's not do that. Yeah, see, live in color. You wonder why they say something first take? This is why. I'm just kidding. No, they can edit their stuff, but we can't. Well, we can, but we don't. Um,
Yeah. Those first 2 hours, like first 2 hours are live.
yeah, it's live stuff. So I mean, they're gonna do the same thing. But I think our shows are gonna go a lot more smooth. Though. Something just tells me that. Anyways, or this one will. All right, so let's talk about where do you want to start, Marquine? How about college football? I guess
That's fine.
go college instead of pro. So first off, anything you want to say about the season in general as the regular season before we get into the how the playoffs went, who got chosen, and Heisman and all that. Anything of the regular season you want to mention?
I thought as a whole, this regular season was really interesting. I think that everyone was kind of wrong and everyone was kind of right at the same time.
Right.
Like everyone assumed like Ohio State was like the best team, and I think it was very abundant. They had the most talent, but I think the season was mismanaged by Urban Meyer. I'm gonna get into that right fucking now. Um, there's an old adage that if you have two quarterbacks, you have no quarterbacks. And I totally think that Urban Meyer proved that to be true this year.
Yeah.
His trepidation between Cardell Jones, JT Barrett, I believe cost them the season. I think that had they have just stuck with, well, not even stuck with, Jones was terrible, but I think like he was awful. Let's just call it what it was. It was not a coincidence that when JT Barrett started, he looked so much better than Cardell Jones. Like I think it's pretty clear that he was the better player, and he probably should have been starting. I get why Urban did it though, because I assume that they had a conversation before the season amongst themselves that assuring Cardell that if he came back, he would give him a chance to earn the job. I understand that. That's what I gather. That's what it seemed like.
Right.
But he didn't deserve it. He was no good. Like that should have been JT Barrett's team. And Urban Meyer did not feed Ezekiel Elliott in key moments. Like I think that they would have beat Michigan State had Zeke got the ball more than 11 times. I think even by the bowl game, the way they destroyed Notre Dame, I think it's pretty abundant that they were the better
I
team.
think Cardell
Like,
Jones.
especially with what happened in the Bama game, I think it was pretty clear Ohio State was the better team. They were the better team.
And even I was able to admit that, Markeem. I think that they were clearly the better team. I think that the big thing was, I'm sorry, I'm pouring something to drink because that comes over all the thing. I think the thing is that Cardell Jones, like I told you, and I said on Twitter, he should have went to the draft. I think that his stock was the highest that it could ever be. And
Well, he would have been if he would have came out, he would have been third round pick.
well,
He
but
would
if
have
he
been a
comes out
third.
now, where do you think he's going to get taken?
I'd probably say like fourth or fifth round, but like he would have been a third round pick.
So it wouldn't have been that
And
much of a difference. Okay, I guess it's.
yeah, I think he came back. See, I think he took a risk on himself because he's not very good. Like he's not very. He's not. He's just not. Like I hate to say it like that, but he's really not. And I think that by Ohio State going back to the Ohio State losing, I think that in terms of them, like they had the most talent of anyone. And I think them losing the game, like people was like, well, they still deserve to win because they're obviously this good and blah blah blah. Yeah, they are. But just because they lost, I feel like they didn't deserve anything. Like they deserve exactly what they got. They were like you were the best team and you squandered this whole season. They got exactly what they got.
Right. So I
And
mean,
like look at that fucking team. Look at that. Like, look at that team. From top to, and look at that entire roster. Ezekiel Elliott and Joey Bosa were both on the same team. The argument can be made that Ezekiel Elliott was the best offensive player in the country. I don't think so, but you can make that argument.
and that Bosa
And
was the best defensively, right?
Bosa, to me, was clearly the best defensive player.
Me too. I
in all time.
but,
And they were on the same team. Like, come on, man. Come
you think
on.
they're both? Do you think they're both top 10?
I mean, I don't know. If you want to take a risk on a running back,
Right. Yeah. I don't think. Well, here's a shocker, Markeem. First shocker of the show, I guess. Don't draft a running back high.
No, man, it worked out for St. Louis.
It does work out sometimes, but here's the thing: the risk versus reward. It works out more less times than or at least it seems that way. Quarterbacks. You take a quarterback. You better make sure that's the right quarterback because if it doesn't work, you're going to be set. It's going to set you back another couple years, like the Browns.
Like it depends on how high you are on a guy. Like if you're really high on a guy, just take him. Like it doesn't matter.
Or
like second,
or if you're not high on him and you take him in the 6th round just as a project, and maybe he one day wins you 4 Super Bowls, you can do that too.
Oh my God.
Couldn't help myself. Big Rat would have been like in the call. But anyways,
True. So you would know the honest. They needed another quarterback on the roster. Like that. That's all it was.
oh yeah, I agree. I think Brady needed to know that Brady
And he
needed to
turned
know
out
that.
arguably the best quarterback ever. Like it's fucking crazy to me. It's just crazy.
And here's my thing, Mark, and we'll talk about that later. I'll get back to that in a second. All right. So anything else about college or as far as the season? I'll say one thing about Steve Spurrier. We've been talking about this all night in a sense and on the show already, but everything happens for a reason, and I think people hate Spurrier, and that's fine. He's going to be hated. It's like, and you're going to hate this reference, or you're going to laugh at this reference. One of the two. Everybody's going to be like, it's not the same, or you're going to laugh and say, oh, that actually kind of makes sense. It's like Batman. Like, in my favorite movie, he quotes, and in the movie, he doesn't say it. Commissioner Gordon says, he's the hero we all need, but not the one we deserve right now. So we have to chase him. So maybe, what was I getting at with this? Hold on, I lost my train of thought. I said maybe Steve Spurrier is no longer the hero that we need. Maybe Muschamp. Hold off. I know you're gonna say you're crazy. Maybe Muschamp's the coach that we need right now, but is the one that is gonna take. Anyways, I don't know where I was going with that, but I know that what I'm saying is like you just don't know. Like maybe Spurrier needed to quit. I guess is what I was trying to say. Like maybe he needed to quit the way he quit and leave the way he left. Yeah, it looks like a quitter. That's fine. Let him. Spurrier's like, let him label me as a quitter, but I have to leave now in order for them to get the right man for the job.
Well, I think he wanted to give his boy a shot.
Right.
I think he wanted to leave now So you're like, okay, let me give my assistant a
And
shot.
thank you Spurrier, because now Sean Elliott's not our head coach.
Oh yeah, but you know that, like, I think that was the point,
Yeah, yeah.
and that,
I understand.
yeah,
I understand it. You would.
he was looking out for his boy. I understand.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
get
He's
it.
looking out for his boy. I mean, no one can front that, or not front that. No one can whatever the word I was looking for. No one can fault that. There you go. Yeah. So
But
other than that,
what
any other coaching things like Mark Rick
uh,
going to who's Mark Rick going to?
I'm gonna get into
Oh,
that, but Frank Beamer, man,
oh yeah, go
like
ahead. Yeah.
I cried like a baby. Like my film of the year is Room. If y'all don't know, I'm a film buff, nerd of all things
Lots of
nerd.
concussion, by the way. We'll get to that.
But I'm a nerd of all things nerd. And that movie made me cry so many
Well, I
times,
cried like a baby in concussion, but yeah.
like all throughout it. But I bawled like a baby when Beamer tipped his cap at the Virginia Tech section, and then he started dabbing, which is that's so him. Like it's so him, man. Like it's really not going to be the same. Like without like for real. Like I go to Lane Stadium almost every year, at least for a game. And like every year, every game, he'll come out, he'll say something to the crowd, get everybody excited or something. He'll do something, for the crowd. And it's just not going to be the same with him not being there. You know what I mean? Like Justin Fuente, I thought was a good hire. He's a good coach. I think his system brings a lot of diversity to Virginia Tech's offense that they have not had since Michael Vick. You know what I mean? It's a big deal. I think he's going to do a lot of great things there. But he got big shoes to fill, man. Because in my opinion, that is the greatest coach to never win a championship in any sport. So
Yeah.
I'm just saying, you know what I'm saying? He has to fill that void. I don't know how he's going to do it, but he got
You think
he
he'll
got to
coach
do it.
again? You said or no?
No, he's done,
Oh,
man.
he's
Retired.
okay. Okay. But he has to.
Like, it's
He has to go
crazy.
somewhere, is
Like
what you're saying. Gotcha.
since I've been following Virginia Tech football, man, which is God knows as long as I can remember, like he has been the coach. Like, I don't think people understand. Like I've been following this team well over 20 years. You know what I mean? He's been the only coach. Like the reason why I'm even into football is because of Virginia Tech. That's the reason why I wanted to play. That's the reason why I watch all that stuff. And he was my coach. You know what I mean? He's just gone. Like y'all don't understand. I cried like a bitch. Yeah, like a bitch. Like it was bad. Like snot was coming out my nose. It
Sports
was
is a
bad. I
crazy
wanted
thing,
to.
isn't it?
So what?
Sports is a crazy thing, isn't
Yeah, yeah. Like I wanted to go to the game, but it was just too short notice.
it?
Like I didn't have the money. Like that trip to Louisiana would not have been very very smart fiscally. Plus, it was around Christmas, so that it wasn't gonna happen.
Right,
But
right. You were smart enough to
I,
know that it wasn't. Yeah, gotcha.
I cannot believe he's gone. I'm still just kind of taken aback by it. But who was Mark Rick and
Yeah.
Kirby Smart and all.
And
Um,
see, here's another thing too. I'll say real quick before you go into them two. But I'll say about Kirby Smart is I think Carolina. One reason Spurrier might have done that is because he knew those opportunities would be there. But unfortunately, for his fault, bigger jobs came up. No one wanted South Carolina. Muschamp was the only one that wanted it. Rich Rodriguez wanted it or didn't want it. We wanted him. And I think remember we wanted somebody else, but I can't remember. But
like Muschamp didn't have a choice.
yeah, Muschamp had to take the job. If it was offered to him, he had to take it. And I don't want Muschamp, but you know what? We'll see how it goes. I'm willing to give him a chance, even though you've told me things about him. I didn't want Rich Rodriguez, and I'll probably eat my words, but we'll see. We'll just have to see.
I'll say this though. Muschamp, I think
He's bringing some
there
great
was
recruiters.
yeah, he's a great, amazing
Yeah,
recruiter. I think there was a point in time where he was a good defensive coach, but it's not a coincidence that the game he does not coach Auburn in the bowl game, they are the most disciplined they looked on defense the entire season. like the bowl game, he didn't coach them. He didn't, you know that, right?
right,
Like he didn't coach
right.
them.
Yeah, yeah.
And they were so focused defensively, they were so locked in.
Well, I hope someone at South Carolina keeps him in check because we can't. We've been there before. You know what I'm saying? Like you know this more than everything or anything. Gamecocks have gotten in some serious trouble, and Spurrier kind of contained that, and it's been a lot better. And now like Clemson's having that struggle. Like Dabo's a great coach and everything, but he can't. It's not his fault that some of his players are just idiots. And it's like sometimes it's just going to work out that way, but other times you can tell when it's not. You know what I'm saying? Like you can tell it's not the players. It's clearly, like you said, that was evidence that was clearly not the players. It was
Yeah.
it was him. So
Oh yeah.
So
Oh yeah.
Mark Whitworth is going to Miami. Big Rat's not here to talk about that, so we might save a lot of that talk. You can say whatever you want about that, but he'll have his
I,
opinions on it.
I'll just say this. I'll just say one thing. Um, I think that he will instantly make them better. I think that instantly, as soon as he gets there, because I think that he's able to, like, he was able to take Florida kids from out of the state of Florida and bring them to Georgia.
Right.
Now he's in the thick of that. You know what I mean? And plus, he's a better coach than Al Golden. I think that goes without saying. But like, I think they instantly are a lot better. I just worry about in the biggest games will he always make the right decision. You know what I mean? At first, I didn't think he should have been fired from Georgia. I don't even want to get into that. I ain't in the mood right now, but
I,
but
we disagree on that, but yeah.
you know
I
what?
think we disagree on that because I think I've said that I think he needed it, even though they may have not have should have done, they should have done it this year. It made no sense, like you said.
Like I think they needed a change, but to fire
Yeah,
him,
that was
especially the season they had with all the injuries they had to this season, and for them to still win 9 fucking games this
right.
year,
And look good in their bowl
like
game, even if it wasn't against BYU.
exactly. I don't like. I personally didn't think that was right, but
Right.
like but yeah, they both needed a change. I think that much is obvious. But what was I saying? Yeah, yeah. Like he'll instantly make them better. Like he adds credibility. He'll get recruits, all that stuff. I think I'm excited to see Kirby Smart finally get an opportunity though. I think that's a huge deal. Any other coaching changes I'll get into after this video because there's a lot of shaking up that's gonna happen. Jim Harbaugh did an amazing job this year. Just running through shit real quick. He did an amazing job this year. That team was not supposed to be what they are. To be honest with you, I think everyone thought it would happen because of Harbaugh, but anyone that looked at that roster pretty much figured, oh, 7 wins would be a blessing. Like they just won a bowl game, and like they won 9 games this year. It's a
Right.
big fucking deal. I mean, like, he in 2 years, man, they'll be like maybe in this playoff. Like that's the type of job kind of intense. But like I think it just goes without saying that he is one of those guys that it doesn't matter where he is, he's gonna do his thing, he's gonna be successful. Like he's one of those dudes you can literally plug in anywhere and they will be successful. It's just that simple. Like there's some coaches that are like that. Mike Holmgren was like that in the NFL. Like you plug him in, he's going to be successful. He's just that good. It is what it is. But who am I forgetting? Any other big coaching changes or something? Whatever. I was shocked USC fell off the map so quickly. Like my God, I don't know what the fuck happened. Oregon kind of struggling. That don't surprise me. Um, Stanford winning the division again. We're winning the conference again. That don't. Um, what else happened this year? Bama
Clemson went
dominating the
undefeated. They didn't
SEC.
Clemsoning or whatever yet.
Yeah, Clemson not Clemsoning and actually making it to the playoff, which is great. Undefeated Clemson.
But getting no respect. Well, we'll get to that.
Like that's nuts to me, man. That's
It's
crazy.
crazy, man. Yeah,
Um,
I agree.
Les Miles almost fired.
Yeah,
That's crazy.
so many people have almost got fired. So many people have gotten fired. So many people have not gotten fired. This is crazy. It's sports here for me, or for
Like,
in general.
I do think Les Miles should hire an assistant now. Like he shouldn't be calling the offensive plays
Right,
anymore.
and I think a lot of coaches have to understand that. Bill Belichick struggled too. Like people don't understand that. Like Bill Belichick sucked for the Browns, but why? Because the Browns organization is garbage. Like not because
But
he was making mistakes.
that team he inherited was awful though.
See, I don't know that kind of stuff. So yeah, I'm glad you told me because I don't know how bad he was back then. So, um,
that team
but
was
here's the
really
thing:
bad.
no quarterback, and I've said this before, and this relates to this. That's why I'm bringing it up. But no coach, no quarterback, no anything can go into a system or a franchise if the atmosphere isn't right. Look at the Oakland Raiders. I'm just going to use them as an example. Their atmosphere was not willing to admit anybody good or like any young player could not go there and succeed. Marcus Russell made it, screwed up on his own. But if he had gone to another team and not Oakland, because he went to Oakland where he was screwed up and he needed help, Johnny Manziel went to Cleveland. He was screwed up and he needed help. He went to a team that did not have that atmosphere. Johnny Manziel goes to the. I'm only using this as an example, but Johnny Manziel goes to the Patriots. He's not. They're not putting up with that crap. They cut him. They cut him or trade him. I mean, that's either he shapes up or they cut him. I mean, it's a first round pick, but I mean, we've done it before. I mean, we've gotten rid of Wes Welker. That's not a good example, but other guys that have messed up. Not Wes Welker, but like we've gotten rid of guys that's not the popular opinion kind of thing. So yeah. So there's you just got to understand that quarterback. Andrew Luck. The struggle is real right now for Andrew Luck, but he has to just ride it out. Will they ever win a Super Bowl? No. Well, we're going to talk about this coaching change later, but Pagano, will they ever win a Super Bowl? Who knows? We'll talk about that in a second. But you just got to. It all depends on where you're at, and everything has to fall into place. Like you always told me, it's not just doesn't just take quarterbacks to win a Super Bowl. Exactly, it takes an offensive line, a defensive line, a cornerback, a coach, a head coach, a offensive coordinator. I mean, it's silly sounding to say that, but everything came together last year. That's why we won the Super Bowl. Everything came together. That's why the Giants won the Super Bowl. Everything came together. That's why the Packers won. Everything came together. That's why Bama's so great. Nick Saban, it's not just Nick Saban. It's Nick Saban. It's Bama. It's everything. It might just be Nick Saban because Bama sucks, but yeah.
Like part of me just thinks that's just Nick Saban.
Yeah.
Because you got to remember, like, they've always been Alabama. Like, that's Alabama. Right. He gets there and things instantly change, man. It's crazy.
It's crazy how a person can change an atmosphere, but you have to be willing to change the atmosphere. Like the Raiders. The Raiders are changing their atmosphere. Al Davis, I mean, unfortunately, I hate to say this, he's passed away and it's a new life for them. And his son is finally, I think, son or whoever it is talking to him is finally doing that. They said this about Dallas. Do you know Dallas? I know you knew this, but Jerry Jones wanted Johnny Manziel. But they had a guy in there that told him no and made him walk out the door. And literally, that's the guy I guess maybe he hired or he gave enough power to that they got to make the decision, not him. That's what's wrong with Vince McMahon and WWE, but we're not talking about that. Anyways, Vince finally has a guy that whatever. I'm not gonna go off on that. This is not that. But so yeah. So that's what I'm saying is like it takes a lot of stuff. Let's just put it that way. So one thing, anything you want to say?
No, I'm saying they drafted the best guard since Alan Faneca.
Who did?
I'm just saying.
Who did?
Like Zach Martin is kind of amazing.
Zach Martin is amazing, and I know this is just Madden, but I have him on mine, and he's like a 99 in my system. There's a reason for it. But yeah. So like you just said about that. But what I was gonna ask you real quick, since we're talking about the coaches and stuff. How would you feel if this happens? Okay, I know they're talking about it and it's crazy and it doesn't make any sense and either side doesn't make sense. But if Clemson wins this game against Bama, and I know we'll talk about the game later, Nick Saban leaves, or he stays, either one, I don't know. But Nick Saban leaves in this scenario. So Clemson wins, Nick Saban leaves Bama. Dabo goes to Bama because that was his school and his dream job. He got Clemson where they needed to be. And now he moves on, so he goes to Alabama to get his dream job because that's where he played, and then someone else goes to Clemson. Can you imagine if that happened? Or Bama wins, and Nick Saban still leaves, and Dabo takes that job, or either Dabo stays in Clemson and someone else goes to Bama. Like I really feel like that those things could happen.
You're just basically asking, do I think Nick Saban will leave?
Right.
I think he's leaving. I think honestly, I think this is his last stop. I don't think you would either have to have two things. You either have a lot of money, or be an NFL team that is offering him a chance to stay for 3 years because you think he can take you over the hump. And I don't see any team in the NFL that's built like that.
You don't think?
Where you college guy who's never won on the significantly on the NFL level is going to take you over the hump. You got to remember, Nick Saban's old, man. He's not, he's not young anymore. I think he's like 64 or 65.
And maybe
he's an old guy.
Right, and maybe he just can't win in the NFL. That's not such a bad thing to say. Some people are just college coaches. I
really think this is his last stop.
And that might be, and you might be right. And maybe everybody thinks he's going to go to the NFL when he retires, and he says, "No, I'm just done." So maybe he just walks away in general. Maybe if Bama wins, he walks off in the sunset. He's like, "I'm done."
Remember a couple years ago when the Texas job opened? I think if he didn't leave for Texas, he's not going to leave.
Okay, I got you. I mean, there's some jobs that have opened up, so I don't, that he could start over and try to I think he's done that though. He did that with Bama. He's built this powerhouse. Why would he need to go and try to build another powerhouse? So,
Like if he leaves, it's not going to be for another college team.
no,
That's not.
no,
Gonna
it's going to be pros, and I don't think I just like you said, it's got to be the perfect scenario. And I'm just trying to think of what the perfect scenario would be. I mean, it's not Philly because Philly did that with Chip Kelly, so there's no way they're going to go that route. Regardless if you think the talent's on the team, they're not going to go that route. Even though I heard a rumor about them wanting Jay Gruden saying that he's available.
Like for him to leave, it would have to be an NFL team with all the talent that think they can win, that thinks they can win, that think that he can get them over the hump. And I don't see any team in the NFL like that.
I think that. I mean, do you think the Bucks was that? He wouldn't go to the Bucks though.
But I mean, do you think they have the talent to win in like?
Yes, they have the talent. They have proven that. They look at their like. I was someone's gonna say, well, oh, are you crazy? They went 4 or something or whatever they went. They had 6 games, 4 games. I don't even know what they won. Let me see. Hold on a second. I gotta look this up. Standings are right here.
6 and 10.
What?
6
and 10, and they played the best record team in the league. And both games, I think both games they got blown out. If I'm not mistaken. But they're 6 and 10. They were literally only a game and 2 games behind the 2 guys in their division, the Falcons, who should have done a lot better and collapsed, and then the Saints, who have obviously had their struggles. So they are literally like 2 games. Well, actually, yes, 2 games away from being the second best in their division. And if they're 2 games away from that, then they're like 1 or 2 games away from the playoffs. So to me, that's a job that I would want. If I'm the Bucks, if I'm a big coach like Jay Gruden, go back to the Bucks. You can win another Super Bowl with them. I mean, I don't know about Super Bowl. That's a little crazy, but
like I'm just saying. But if you get a guy like Nick Saban, you're only gonna have him for like 3 or 4 years, man. He's old.
Right.
Like he's not even gonna be a Bama that much longer.
Right.
Like
right.
people don't understand. Like he's old.
That's like if Bill ever left New England. I mean, if he gets left New England and retired.
Like how would he coach so well? You know what I mean?
I don't think he would go. I really feel like Bill would be done unless they got rid of him before he was ready to be done, and that's not going to happen. I mean, what do you at this point? How can you get rid of Bill Belichick at all? I mean, how many losing seasons would it take to get rid of Bill Belichick? I don't know how many it would take. Just one, because he hasn't had any.
They would have to get really bad.
Like really
have to
get like 4 wins bad, 5 wins bad. And with no injuries at all. Like if Brady got hurt, then that's different. But
and like consecutively, like it has to happen for like 3 or 4.
But it's
okay.
That's the only way. But it's all right because Brady's gonna lead them, and Belichick's gonna lead them to a back-to-back Super Bowl for the second time in history. And right off since says that with Brady being the only one to ever win 5 Super Bowls, people would hate that. But anyways, that's just my dream, of course. That's my perfect scenario, of course. All right, so that's college, I guess, except for the game, that we could talk about right now, or since before.
Hold on. Derrick Henry deserved the Heisman.
There you go. Yes, let's shut up about Deshaun Watson, okay?
Deserved the Heisman. Deshaun Watson was amazing. I thought he shouldn't even have been there. I thought that should have been Baker Mayfield. That's just me. But
I was gonna ask you about him too. The guy, like Curtis was bringing this up the other day, and I agree, like. Do you think they overpowered the whole all-purpose yards, or was it just that good that's why they brought it up?
You talking about Christian McCaffrey?
Yeah.
No, don't get me wrong. He was their entire offense. Like, don't get me wrong. Like, he was amazing. He deserved to be the runner-up. Like, don't get it fucked up. Like, he was incredible. But I think that people put too much stock in that number because when Barry Sanders set that record, he wasn't returning kicks.
Right.
He was there running.
That's what I don't understand. That's kick return yards. It's like that's not that impressive. Like you can on average get a lot of kickoff returns if you're decent.
I mean, but don't get me wrong. Like Christian McCaffrey was amazing this year, but he it wasn't like Barry Sanders. Like don't think because he set the record, he set it the same way. No, no.
Right. So
but Derrick Henry. A lot of people don't realize Derrick Henry. He had 90 carries the last 2 weeks of the regular season. 90 carries. He was their entire offense.
And then get this, because I made an argument, and I'll get to that later about the argument. I won't even say what the argument was, but I made an argument about Derrick Henry and Bama, and someone I was honest. I made an ignorant statement because I didn't get to watch the game. I only could follow it on Twitter and Facebook, or not Twitter, and the ESPN app and see what the score was because I just watched the Clemson Oklahoma game and I had friends over. So or I was over at a friend's house. So I was like, yeah, but how many yards did Derrick Henry get in the game? I said something ignorant, just said it later, and they're like, did you watch the game? Like they completely took him out of the equation.
Right? Yeah, he didn't have. That was probably his worst game of the
Like
year.
I don't know. Did Michigan State take him out of the equation, or did Bama just realize they had to do something else?
It was both. Like what's the name? Lane stopped giving him the ball because they just had like 9 dudes in the box. He was still effective. Like he still set up the play action and all that stuff, but he wasn't like dominant Derrick Henry like
Right,
we
and
were
that's what
saying
people
all
don't
season.
understand. Is like sometimes like just because the player didn't essentially do something, they essentially still did. They're still a factor. They can still be a factor. Like Gronk, you can cover him all you want, but guess what? Now someone else is open because you finally shut Gronk down. Like you haven't shut him. You can't
Yeah,
shut Gronk down.
him being a decoy is huge. Like to be honest, that's what makes Gronk so
Right.
great because he's the best decoy in the
Yeah,
game.
yeah, I agree. That's why him on we've always made that argument, and it's hard for me to see, but and we'll get to that. But like, anyway, we'll get to that. I'll move on from that. But
But yeah, Derrick Henry deserved the Heisman. I don't understand what people
yeah, I think people felt everybody falls in love with the quarterbacks. You know how it is. Deshaun Watson's a beast. I think he deserved to be there, but he was only there. I think he only deserved to be there because of uh, basically Alabama ruining Leonard Fournette's career, and then everybody realizing he's still good. Not ruining.
well, I don't know. Like I think it should have been Baker Mayfield. To be honest with you, I think Baker Mayfield had been literally good. You said
Who's
what?
Baker Mayfield?
That's the quarterback for
Oh yeah,
Oklahoma.
yeah. Okay, I got you.
He was good in every game this season. Deshaun Watson had 2 bad games. Like he had 2 bad games. Like people forget that Louisville game. He was
Yeah,
awful.
4 interceptions, wasn't it? Was that the one with 4 interceptions?
He had 4
Yeah.
picks. Like even the game they lost to Texas, Baker Mayfield went 20 for 27. Like he was still
Is he coming
great.
out
They
or
just
no?
lost. He's not an NFL quarterback
Oh, okay.
anymore.
Yeah, that's right. You said the throws and stuff. I remember. It's so hard until you honestly really know. You have to really know college football and really know pro football to finally understand that someone isn't going to work in the NFL. I finally see that. I don't know. I still don't know whether or not a quarterback because I have to have seen a lot of them. So I know I can say that for like a Gamecock player or a Clemson player one of the top players that I've seen. I can say that for them because I see enough of them. But I can totally understand where you're coming from now, which is
You're a guy you just know. Like they either look the part or they don't. Paxton Lynch does not look the
who?
part. But we'll get into that later. Paxton Lynch.
Um,
That's the QB for
that's
Memphis.
right.
He does not look the part. We'll get into that later
Right.
though.
But I guess that's it for college ending awards and all that stuff. So we can get to the NFL, I guess now. So the NFL happened. um, just to kind of give a rundown of the season. Chip Kelly took the Eagles to almost winning the NFC least, but he still got fired. The Giants fired Tom Coughlin. The NFC East is a mess, by the way. Dallas Cowboys. Everyone said they should have fired Garrett. I think they're wrong. They lost their best player, Romo. People hate Romo for some reason. When it's Dallas, that it's the ones that suck. They don't know how to use him, but whatever. I'm just throwing out my ideas, and then I can let you get your ideas out there. But NFC North,
Jason Garrett is
huh?
a plant anyway.
What?
He's not even Jason Garrett is a plant anyway. Like he don't even
No,
matter. Like he's just there just to
he's
be
just there
there.
to take a check until they need, you know. They'll get. I think they need a new coach too, but maybe they don't need it. Romo's good. I'm telling you, Romo's gonna have his moment, and everyone's gonna eat their words. It may not be in Dallas. I didn't say it was gonna be in Dallas, but if it's in Dallas, it's great. I actually don't want it to be in Dallas. Then I'd be like, suck it, Dallas. All you Cowboys fans that hated Romo, I'm glad he's winning this championship without you. That's what I honestly would want. But anyways,
Like I hope he does. I like the dude. I like
yeah,
Tony Romo. I just think that a lot of people have been incredibly unfair to him. That's what I think. I think he's put up Hall of Fame type numbers. It's just he has incredibly bad luck.
yeah. I mean, I would 100% agree with that. And I think that a lot of times that's what we you just got to understand that sometimes you're not gonna you don't understand that it's not the player, it's not the system, or it's not the system, it's it's the player. There's a lot of stuff that goes into it, not just the quarterback sucks. Well, guess what? He sucks because his O line is the worst in the history of the NFL. Speaking of that, Aaron Rodgers. Hey, what's up, man? What you doing? Anyway, so I was on the NFC North looking at him. Aaron Rodgers obviously struggling, but they're still in the playoffs. Look out for them, I guess.
There are two problems with that team. There are two big problems with that team. Right now, Aaron Rodgers is holding the ball way too
Yeah.
long. But the reason why he's holding the ball way too long is because them dudes ain't getting
Nope.
open.
Nope.
Like what the hell? No. I saw an amazing stat today. You realize coming into this season, Aaron Rodgers for his career has only had 5 red zone interceptions. You know how many he has this year?
Yeah,
4.
yeah. I didn't know the stat, but I knew that he didn't have many. Yeah, he didn't have many.
That is crazy. That lets you know these dudes ain't getting open. They're not
Yep.
getting open.
Yep. So, yeah, but I see the struggles in the Packers. My friend's a Packers fan. She always asks. She always I'm like, you know what I tell her every time? I use her own words against it. If you have a fan that is getting frustrated, use their own terms against them. You know what? Or I'm not against them, but to help them realize what their struggle is. I told her, I said, in the words of the great bad man, hashtag relax. But obviously there's struggles. You know, you just got to understand that just because there's struggles doesn't mean that you can't get it done. But anyway, so that's the Packers. The Vikings, I think, look very impressive. We'll get to the games in a second. But I'm just going through what I think about the teams. Lions and Bears is a really thing to say. Lions are Lions. They need to fire Jim Caldwell, but that's just me. To get over the hump, there's your over hump. The Lions need to fire Caldwell, and then someone needs to pick them up because they could pot. They're right there. They've proven that they can win games. They've proven they can suck too. But Bears,
No, I don't believe in curses, but I think they might be.
the Lions are. I think they're gonna be a 30 for 30 when the Lions break the curse, or the Lions have never broke the curse. I don't know. Just so you know, the Lions have never made the Super Bowl. Just so you guys know that. But anyways, that's one of the franchises. Then you have the Panthers, who went 15-1, and let me just say real quick because
Who the fuck saw that?
no one
coming?
saw it coming. But you know what? This is, and I said this to everybody else, and I'll say this about when we pick games and stuff. Okay. Which, by the way, we didn't pick the college game, but we'll get to that. I guess we'll go by the weekend as far as how the games go. But so like I told people, I was like, this Panthers is just one example. There's actually a lot of examples this year in the playoffs of the NFL, but and just the NFL in general. But people keep thinking like, or if you ever tell a team they're not good enough, if you tell somebody they're not good enough, Brady for example, tell him he's not good enough, he gets picked in the 6th round. Puts a chip on their shoulder. Some people don't have a chip on their shoulder because they accept it and say, "Oh yeah, maybe I do suck." Then other people say, "No, I don't suck." And you just need to realize it. And so sometimes it takes forever. Sometimes it may not even be where they're at. Maybe they have to move on to the next thing. But that's the Panthers. Like the Panthers, whatever record they were last year, they knew they were better than the records stated, and they proved that. They came out with confidence this year, and they're a scary team because of it. And I think they're better off that they lost. I'm telling you, because if they hadn't lost, they hadn't tasted it. Trust me. Guess who knows that? They're gonna look better. They could easily. I would not be shocked if they win 18-1, and I hope they don't, because I don't want them to pull that off. But anyways, you got Falcons underachieved. Saints, they're the Saints. They're digressing, I guess. The Bucks underachieved, and overachieved. Not overachieved in a sense, but did what they needed to do for this season.
I think they achieved what most people
Right.
thought.
And then let's just fire Lovey. So whatever. Look. The Bucks are the example. The Bucks, the Browns. There's probably other options. The Lions, maybe. They're all examples of organizations that don't get it. They just don't get it. It's not that they can't win. They just don't get it. The Browns are going through quarterbacks because they don't get it. That it takes more than a quarterback. It takes more than a coach. It takes everything coming together. And these teams that have finally understood it, or finally understood it to get them to the playoffs, or finally understood it to get them relevant, the Rams. If they fire Fisher, they're idiots, because Fisher has done great things for that organization. Maybe he needs to move on. I get that, but that's another team I was going to talk about. And then the Arizona Cardinals, Bruce Arians is doing amazing things with them, and finally Carson Palmer's healthy, so watch out for them. Seattle, they're getting disrespected because they lost in the Super Bowl last year, which is some of it's merited, but and because they made the dumbest trade in the history of the NFL. Huh?
They're getting hot at the right time.
There's a lot of teams getting hot at the right time, and I honestly have said this, Markeem, and the Niners are the Niners, so there's nothing to say about them. But the fact that they need a good coach as well. But one thing I'll say about the Seattle Seahawks and the playoffs in general, I can say about the Seahawks, the Cardinals, the Panthers, the Packers, the Vikings, even the Redskins, which I forgot to mention. I don't know how I forgot the very first team up there, or the team right there. I've missed some of the AFC teams as well. I went all on the NFC side, but so I'll go back to the AFC as well. But the Redskins are the same way. The Broncos, the Chiefs, Raiders are going to be better. We talked about that. Chargers have just had injuries. They'll be okay. AFC South, the Texans are the same way. Then you have the Colts. They understood what they needed to do. They were going to fire. I mean, maybe they never were going to fire Vagano, or maybe they were, and they just realized, no, we need to keep this together if we have any shot at making this work. If it doesn't work, then it doesn't work, but we have to try. Jags are getting there. Blake Bortles is playing unbelievable if you actually watch the Jags games, because I don't know if you guys know this, but I'll pull a stat.
I don't know about unbelievable.
Well, okay, it was a little nuts, but let me see. Is it touchdowns or is it? Let's see. I got to see the stat again for. Yeah, Blake Bortles is. Where do you think Blake Bortles is in touchdown passes? Just guess.
I know I think he's like 2.
Yeah, he's tied for second
that.
with Carson. Brady's first. Then it's Palmer, Manning, Eli Manning, Cam Newton, Blake Bortles. Blake Bortles is in a conversation with literally 3 MVP candidates, or well, 4, I guess you could say.
I still think he does. I still think he fucks up too much in the red zone. Like, I still think he does that dumb shit where he delivers the ball without stepping forward. When he changes that, he'll be really good. It's like a mental.
Right, it's just a mental thing, and he'll get there. I think he'll get there. But yeah, the Jags, the Titans, I think they're a good team. I think they need to get Chip Kelly. I don't know if you believe that or not. What do you think? The Titans need to get Chip Kelly.
I'd say it's his best chance to succeed. Right. You take away his power to draft and give whoever.
Like you guys do that as an organization, and then you just let him do his thing.
Because he have his.
But he has to. And here's the thing, though. He also has to admit that he made mistakes in the past, and he has to own up to them because he hasn't been doing that. So that's another thing too. But then we have.
We ain't even gonna talk about him. I'm trying to be.
Yeah. We'll just him. There's what can we say that hasn't been said about Chip Kelly? Whatever. So I've said all my piece on Twitter, and you've said yours as well. Some of it, anyways. Then you have the Cincinnati Bengals, which is a test of can they win a playoff game. Can Marvin Lewis finally get over the hump? That's going to be the test for them. I think they can. They can. Whether they do or not, that's up to them. Pittsburgh Steelers. Oh, look. Good old Pittsburgh Steelers. What do they always do? 6th seed. When did they the last 2 times they won a Super Bowl? 6th seed. Freaking stupid Steelers. If you can't tell, I don't like the Steelers because they always get the 6th seed and they always somehow make it to the Super Bowl. Hopefully this year is not that case. Baltimore Ravens have completely collapsed. Injury and more. Steve Smith is coming back. Whatever. The Browns are atrocious. They're the Browns. Like the Browns. They should be called the Cleveland Browns Dookie or whatever. I don't know what you're going to call them because that's what they are.
Cleveland Browns
Cleveland Browns Dookie or Cleveland Dookie. Then we have the great organization of all organizations, the New England Patriots. They have the what's the word? The blueprint of how you get it done. 14 straight winning seasons, 13 or 12 or 13 division titles. Right, those numbers might not be exactly right. No other team in the NFL right now can say that. The current teams can say that. So that's why, ladies and gentlemen, that's why they're picked to win the Super Bowl every year, because they're the most consistent and it's the easiest pick to make. It's not always right that they're favored. They shouldn't be favored every year, but you got to understand why they're favored, because there's no other team that you can confidently give one.
I don't know, man. They've moonwalked into these playoffs, though.
That's true.
Not really.
But that's happened before. Last year, you don't forget that we lost to the Chiefs, and then we actually, if they made a stat too. You know, the last time, the 4 times we've lost to the Dolphins, we've won the Super Bowl.
No, I'm just saying, man. Like, it was even like last year wasn't as bad as this year,
right?
Though.
But the bottom line for us, yeah. The bottom line for us is that, like, last year we were healthy and we were just still struggling. This year we're not healthy and we're struggling. So if everything can come together, the offensive line, if the offensive line doesn't come together, but we have Edelman back healthy, we have Gronk healthy, we have our defensive. People don't remember we have both our safeties out. They've been out the last 2 games. They didn't play in Miami either, so I mean 3 games. That's why we lost to the Jets, by the way, because we hadn't. That's why he kicked the ball, because I understand why he did it. It just didn't work out because McCourty and Chung were both out. Our only good cornerback is Malcolm Butler, and hey, I love him with all I have, and I will always love Malcolm Butler for that play. I will never ever hate Malcolm Butler, but he has his moments that he's good, and he has his moments that you scratch your head, what the heck are you doing? So, but he's still the only cornerback that you can say we even remotely have that is good. Everybody else is decent, and then he has good moments. So, everybody else is just plug and play. Hope for the best. The Jets. The Jets. This is the Jets team that I told people they were, and they've always been. The Jets only care, and this is the story that I wanted to tell about the AFC East. This is the story about the AFC East. The Jets, the Bills, I'm going to wrap them all together. The Jets, the Bills, and the Dolphins care about one thing and one thing only. That's beating the Patriots. Good luck. Good job. Jets and Dolphins, you've accomplished that this year, but guess what? Guess where that got you? Dolphins, it got you 6-10 and a worse draft pick. Jets, it got you 10-6 and out the playoffs. You have to change the culture.
Come on, man. I don't think that's fair to say to the Jets.
Let me finish.
Right. They had Ryan Fitzpatrick playing quarterback this year, man.
Just listen. But here's the thing, though. That's fine. Maybe that's not maybe they are the Jets. I think the Jets are the ones I think are slowly changing the culture. They are slowly changing the culture. But the thing is, the Bills maybe they are doing that too. Maybe the Dolphins are doing. They are all changing their culture. It's just taking some time. You have to beat the Patriots, but that's not the only thing you can do. You have to win other games. You cannot be clouded by your other divisional games or other games in the year. And maybe it might be there's other factors into it. Fitzpatrick's your quarterback. Jets need a quarterback. I get that. What the answer is there.
That's not saying Fitzpatrick was bad because he wasn't, but they do need a QB.
Yeah, they need a QB. I don't know if you draft one or if you Bryce Petty, you give him a shot, but I don't know. So I would definitely just say that that the AFC East just needs to know that, okay, y'all want a culture change? If you can get a culture change, the AFC East is not as bad as everybody says it is. The Patriots were 12-4, 10-6 Jets, 8-8 Buffalo Bills, and 6-10 Dolphins. Probably one of the best divisions this year. If you're talking about just record-wise. Let's see if any other one. The only other team, NFC North had Chicago in last with 6, so at least their last place team had 6 wins. And the NFC South had it. So the NFC South and the NFC North is the only other divisions that can say that they had their worst team was 6-10. So there you go with that. Is there anything you would like to add about what I said, Marky?
No, man, you hit it on the head, man. Everything I can say is the Andrew Luck shit that I've already said, but everything else, yeah.
I mean, that's just how I felt, and I mean that's how it is. That's not how I feel. Like obviously, I hope that all these teams, that except for the Patriots, choke them all choke this. But
I will say this to add to my Andrew Luck point that I made a couple months ago. The fact that he lacerated his kidney and did not come back for the rest of the season, I keep telling y'all to listen to me. That's all I'm saying.
Yep. That's right.
He was hurt all year. If he comes out next year and it's terrible, fine. He just fucking sucks inexplicably. I don't know how that happened, but I think it was obvious he was hurt. I think it was obvious.
And to add to that, I do think the Colts made the right decision to keep McConnell. Might not win them a Super Bowl. I know I've predicted that, but I think they'll win a Super Bowl.
I think you could not fire him after what happened this year because none of this shit was.
Yeah, it's same thing like Mark kind of thing.
Your franchise QB for whatever reason was bad when he played, and he got hurt. Then you had a 40-year-old dude starting. Then you had Charlie Whitehurst out there starting, and then Jason Campbell.
And Josh Freeman, who no one wanted.
Oh, yeah, my bad, Josh Freeman. Yeah, you're right. Not Jason Campbell. Same fucking guy, pretty much. It's Josh Freeman. Jesus, man.
And that's the thing. People only, why no one understands all this stuff, and we have to explain ourselves in sports and First Take and or whoever it is has to explain themselves sometimes. And Skip Bayless is such an idiot. Looks like such an idiot, and it took me so long to realize this. Like, he says some smart stuff sometimes, but you can't. No one will ever admit to that because he says such stupid, biased stuff. But anyways,
I don't even think that's why he's hated. I think that a lot of people, a lot of sports personalities that I like, Amina Hassan, Bomani Jones, they all say shit that I disagree with. But I think the thing that people hate about Skip is that he's so biased.
Right? Yeah. And look, I've been there. You know that. Just follow you. If you follow on YoutubeTake since day one, I've changed as a fan. And I've changed as a sports guy and talking about sports. I was biased. I was 100% biased about my Patriots, and I'm still biased on my Patriots. I'm not gonna deny that. But now I can see more clearly about what other teams and I can see my team more clearly through the eyes of. I can look unbiasedly and I can look biasedly, like I have, if that makes sense. Yeah. So now we got. I guess we pretty much covered everything. Let's see. Oh, I wanted to ask you: would you like Jay Gruden in Philly?
To do what?
I guess win. I guess.
No.
Okay. You don't.
Fuck out of here,
All right.
man.
Well, Jay Gruden actually reached out to them, so I guess that's what. Which I thought I was shocked by that, unless it wasn't a true story, because I thought he was happy in ESPN. But okay.
Oh, you talking about John Gruden to do what? Like I said,
Oh yeah,
do what? You said Jay.
My bad, John Gruden.
Like to do what, man?
No. What Chip Kelly couldn't do.
Just stay on ESPN and call those games terribly like you have
exactly.
been. Yo, he was awful this year. Oh my God, he's so bad.
He's the worst play. What is it? No, he's a great play-by-play. He's the worst color commentator ever.
Oh my God, he's terrible, ain't he? Oh my God.
I'm like, dude, that doesn't even make sense what you just said. Like Trey, whatever his other guy's name is, Tarico is like, dude, just slap him one good time. Maybe it'll help. But one thing I was gonna say about Chip Kelly, even though we went through it, just made me think about this. Chip Kelly, although all his wrongs, he made a lot of mistakes. But what Chip Kelly did is he put himself out neck on the line. Like I said, I used the analogy of Bill Belichick. There's differences in them in the two, definitely. But here's the thing: he owns his mistakes. Or Bill Belichick, Bill Belichick, I guess owns his mistakes, but Bill Belichick is confident in what he does. If it doesn't work, he's just as confident as if it does work, and that's a scary thing to deal with as far as like that's how you need to be. But at the same time, you need to understand if it doesn't work, don't do it again, which is what Bill does. I mean, people don't like that, but that's the truth. Then you have Chip Kelly, who's doing that, but then he doesn't want to own up to when he's wrong. He doesn't, like, to himself. Like, you can tell him to himself, he thinks that he still did the right decision. No, you need to own up that you did something wrong. When you got rid of Deshaun Jackson, which was, in my opinion, a great move. You didn't pay Macklin enough, which you didn't want to pay Macklin more, which could be debated.
That's about a great move, man.
What?
I don't know about that.
Huh? Well, not great, but Deshaun Jackson as a player, I mean, as a person, he needed to get out of Philly. Like, as far as personality-wise, it just didn't fit, in my opinion. But it is what it is. And then you trade LaShawn McCoy for a player that can't stay healthy. Okay, you don't want LaShawn McCoy. You don't want his contract. I understand that, but you can't. You trade him for a guy that you got to understand that if it doesn't work, you're going to look like an idiot. And then you sign a player, DeMarco Murray, that does not fit your like. I say doesn't fit your offense, but your offensive line sucks, and he's not the player that when it sucks is going to able to get the yards that he can get, like a Ryan Matthews can get, which is something that Curtis kind of brought into my eyes because he's an Eagles fan and is able to watch it as well. So that's the thing you got to understand. You got to understand that why did you sign DeMarco Murray? You were doing everything right. You didn't need DeMarco Murray. You signed him to please people, and so it's like you made that mistake. If you can own a...
Oh, yeah, that was a PR move, man. That was a PR move.
PR move, like you said, and I think that's where I finally realized, I was like, he's right. So, all right, well, enough about Chip Kelly, because there ain't not much to say about him. He's going to have to check his own self. Same thing with one thing I'll say about Johnny Manziel. That fool, if either he better recognize himself or he's going to be an unemployed bum very, very, very soon.
Well, I do want to add one thing about Chip Kelly. I don't want to just throw him under the bus, because I think he proved that in some capacity, his system does work. I think there's a place for him in the NFL. I don't want to come off as cynical, but I just think in terms of leading an organization, he is not the guy. He is not the guy.
He's not Bill in a sense. Like, he's Bill in the sense of the coaching side, but he's not like Bill can run the organization. He can't.
Yeah,
he can't right now. Maybe that'll change, but he can't right now. Don't give him the reins right now. And I think someone said that about Bill with the Browns, I think, or something. One of the teams, they gave him power or didn't give him power and it didn't work, and then they gave him power and it didn't work, or I don't know. I don't know exactly the story, but about his past.
Yeah, correct. Yeah, it was the Browns.
They gave him power or didn't give him power?
They didn't give him power and it didn't work.
So then when he got to the right organization, New England, who gave him the power, so like if Chip Kelly goes somewhere where they don't give him the power, then it'll work. So Tennessee,
like I think he could be one of the best offensive coordinators in history.
Right.
But I think he shouldn't be leading an organization.
And it's the same thing I feel about Rex Ryan. He's one of the greatest defensive coordinators of all time. I mean, all time might be a little stretch, but he's very, very good. But
no, you're absolutely right. His family has that pedigree,
but
man.
Here's the thing: he's a hard head coach.
His dad might be the best.
Like when the Bills were signing him, I was like, thank God. I was like, hopefully he doesn't realize what it really takes to be a head coach. If he doesn't, we're good. Bills will never win again. I feel bad for the Bills as the organization. If I was a Bills fan, I'd feel bad for them. Like, I'm not a Bills fan, but I feel bad for Bills fans because that's Jets fans. I don't, because Jets all they do is complain. So I don't. But Bills fans, it's like maybe they complain too. But my thing with the Bills is like, man, 4 straight Super Bowl losses, and then now you're still struggling, and you can't get over the hump. Like, you know your team's good enough. Like, that sucks, man. I don't want to know that feeling. You know, you always said, how are you gonna feel when your Patriots suck? I don't want to know that feeling. I never want to know what it feels like to have a losing season, and I'm sure one day I will. But I did with the Gamecocks, so there you go. But they've had a losing season before. I'm talking about with the losing. So all right, let's get to the games. You ready? What'd you say?
I was just laughing.
Oh, you're just laughing at me. Patriots will have a losing season one day, probably, but that would be hilarious if my whole lifetime they never had a losing season. But I don't think that's gonna happen. Oh God, that would be unreal. But anyways, all right. So you ready to pick the games?
Yeah,
All right, I'm gonna. Also, I have pulled up because Brian, a good friend of mine, wanted me to pick the games by the spread as well. So I'm gonna do 2 picks in this, and you don't have to do it if you don't want to. But I am gonna mention the spread and see and just ask if you think they cover the spread or if they don't. All right, so first game we have, and we're doing NFL first. We have Kansas City at Houston. I'll go first, on this one, I guess, to kind of establish what we're going to do. As far as the spread, it's got Houston +3, which I guess that means Houston's winning by 3. Is that what that means? Okay,
Yeah.
that spread's a little iffy sometimes. So Houston is up +3. They're going to win by 3. I do think they cover the spread, and I think Houston wins this game. Well, one thing to add real quick is I think that J.J. Watt is too much of a factor. Kansas City's playing great. They're hot right now. But guess what? So is the Texans. This is what I want to say before going into the picks. Every team this year is hot. If you, in some form or fashion,
not every team.
Huh?
Not every team.
What do you say? No,
I said
every
not
team
every team.
Here's the thing. Every team that won going into week 17 is hot. Everybody that's playing this week right here, I think Green Bay's not hot, but obviously Washington's hot, Minnesota's hot, Seattle's hot, Pittsburgh's hot, Cincinnati's not hot because they hurt somebody, even though they won a game. Kansas City's kind of hot, and Houston's kind of hot. But the bye week teams aren't. It's just funny. Look, the Patriots and Broncos have had their struggles, but they get a week to prepare. The Cardinals have their struggles, and the Panthers finally lost the game and then beat the Bucks, but they lost the game instead of going undefeated. So now they have to understand what they did in that loss. So it's just funny how all the playoffs this year are really coming together. It's crazy. But anyways, so who do you have in that game? Houston, Kansas City.
Kansas City is the team I'm cheering for this year. Because my Eagles are
tell them the real story, Markeem. Who are you going to pull for if they made it? You're going to pull for the Jets.
Oh yeah. It was the Jets and Kansas City, like those two, because they buff like those teams buffer my point that you don't need an elite quarterback to win in this goddamn league. There's so many ways.
You gotta have a Brady, man. You know this now.
No, you don't.
Yeah, because I finally understand your point. Trent Dilfer proved that wrong. Joe Flacco proved that wrong.
He was terrible, and he was terrible that year. He was awful.
And Joe Flacco was only good in the NFL in the playoffs. Same thing with Eli Manning. They go on a run.
Well, he was decent that season. He wasn't
decent. Yeah, he wasn't great. He was decent. Yeah.
But yeah, like I want Kansas City to win. I mean, Houston winning would be fine too, but I'm gonna go with Kansas City, man. I think they'll put enough together enough balance. I think overall they're a better team in general. I think that Houston's rush defense is a bit overrated, and I think that's what they'll do to win this game. I think they'll run.
I think one thing I was gonna say too is I am kind of shocked that Houston's favored in this game. I feel like Kansas City should be favored, but I don't know. So, obviously you got Kansas City winning, so you got them covering the spread. But the Texans, like, I feel like when Clowney can't stay healthy, but Clowney, when he's been in the game, I don't know if you've recently seen him. No one pays attention because he's always hurt, so they don't give him credit. Clowney's been a beast when he's in the game. Like, he got at Brady and nailed the living daylights, like Michigan-type hit on Brady. Like, not that bad, but he nailed Brady. The fact is he can't stay healthy. So I was thinking...
I really think he has chronic knee damage, man. I don't think for lack of skill. I think he's just really hurt.
They say he's out, or is he playing?
It's questionable
Okay,
right
so
now.
if he plays and he plays and doesn't get hurt, I really think this Houston team could be a shocker. Obviously, everything else has to come into play, but that defense is scary with Clowney, Watt, and then the offense with all you need. You don't need a quarterback because you got DeAndre Hopkins, one of the best receivers in the league. So obviously Hoyer has to play decent, but he's played decent when they win. So we'll see. But yeah, I got Houston winning this one so far, and we'll see. Obviously, I would be shocked either way though. Like literally, I think any of these games this weekend, honestly, you could make an argument for either team. I honestly believe that. All right, well, next is Pittsburgh at Cincy. Who you got in that one? Who's favored? Cincinnati's favored by 3. These are a lot of close margins. Dang.
All right, man. Look, I know Marvin Lewis. I know the whole. Okay, he hasn't won a playoff game, and he has to put it together in the playoffs and the playoffs.
Playoffs? You want to talk about playoffs?
And I know, and that's true, 100% true. But I think Cincinnati's better. I think that they look like the better team right now. I think that D'Angelo Williams not playing this weekend is a big factor because who the fuck is this True Fight guy? He was pretty awful last week. Tucson, or however the fuck you say his name. He was Hero Tucson, or I don't know,
Yeah.
something terrible. He was terrible last week. Um, AJ Green is unstoppable against Pittsburgh. He shreds them every time he plays them. And I think AJ McCarron just has to get him the ball, get the hell out of the way. All he has to do is manage the game, and I think they'll get it done. Like Pittsburgh's secondary is awful, and I think that they can get it done against them. I think they're more balanced. I think they have a better defense. I think Big Ben was terrible down the stretch.
Here's,
Yeah,
I agree.
yeah,
I agree. And here's the thing that I'll say about this. So you got Cincy winning, right? And
yeah.
obviously they cover the spread. I mean, a 3-point win. I mean, you say they cover the spread, I guess, right? Okay, so I agree with you. I have Cincy winning this game. I think AJ McCarron does enough. And here's what I want to say about Pittsburgh. I think they cover the spread easily. 3 points. Same thing with Houston. So I've got both favorites winning right now. But Pittsburgh, everybody wanted them in, and I silently did. I kind of said it a little bit, but nobody agreed with me. So I was like, you know what? Let me just see if I'm right first. Let me see who makes it in and see if I'm right. And I think I'm right, and I think this game's going to prove that. I didn't want the Jets in. You know why I didn't want the Jets in? Because you don't want to play a rival for the third time. Trust me, I've done it before. We creamed them, 40-something to something. And what happened? We lost. It's the whole nosebleed game. Bart Scott, Mr. I ain't got a job. Well, I work for ESPN. But that's just hatred from me. But
I thought he worked for CBS.
oh yeah, he does. That's what I said. He has a job. He worked because I always see him, and I'm like, Bart Scott, how's that nosebleed? That's what I keep asking. But anyways, that's just me being butthurt over that loss because we should have beat them. But here's the thing, okay? When you play a rival for a third time, which is this scenario, Cincinnati and Pittsburgh, it's hard to beat a rival again. And I don't know. I'm going to look right now because I can't remember if they split or if Cincinnati swept them, which is probably going to kill my argument if they swept the Steelers. But let's see. That might kill my argument. They lost to the Steelers and they won. So they forgot. This is the rubber game. So this is perfect, actually. So I think Cincinnati wins this game. And the game they lost was actually at home. So maybe they'll get some redemption here. And Pittsburgh's not as good as the Jets. I'm sorry. You're going to say, oh no, but they got Big Ben and Antonio Brown. Yeah, and their defense is garbage. What wins in the playoffs? Defense. Defense can keep you in games. Offense can't keep you in games in the playoffs. If I should know that more than anybody. Like, defense is what keeps you in the game. Like, offense.
Big Ben has been awful down.
Yeah, he has.
Awful.
I can't hear you. Are you saying anything?
I said Big Ben has been awful down the
Right,
stretch.
exactly. And look, people don't remember, but Malcolm Butler played his butt off against Antonio Brown. Still gave up like 100 yards. And the Steelers did not win that game against us. I know it's week 1. They're like, that's so much different. No, it's still. So they're like, well, I don't want to see Pittsburgh. Bring them. We beat them before. We can beat them again. Like I had no. I mean, it was a different scenario, but I had no. The Jets was the one that I was sincerely worried about because they beat us. Pittsburgh didn't beat us. I'm not worried about that. Like, could they come in and beat us? Yeah, fine. Yeah, because they're a good team. But I wasn't worried about them like I was worried about the Jets. So I admitted that. Danny, there you go. So we both have I have Houston, you have Kansas City, and we both have Cincinnati. Now to the NFC side, another two interesting games. Sunday will be Seattle at. Well, what? They're doing both AFC games on Saturday. That's the first, isn't it?
I
I
don't
thought they
know.
usually did one.
Whatever.
Anyways, I thought they did one NFC, one AFC. But anyways, so Seattle at Minnesota. The favorite is Minnesota, shockingly, at home, 4.5. I'm gonna go first on this one, and I'm gonna I say shock the world because the favorites aren't.
Is it the other way around? Is it the other way around, or is the?
What?
'Cause I could have swore Seattle was. I could have swore I heard Seattle was the
I
favorite.
thought so too, but according to I'm looking at NFL odds, sportsline.com, so I don't know how accurate this is. I assume it is.
Like, we might be reading these the other way around.
It's yeah. Oh, you talking about with the plus?
Yeah, yeah.
So whoever's plus.
Cause I don't fucking know, man. I don't.
Yeah, I don't either. So well, if I'm reading it wrong, then Houston. If plus means that if minus means you're
Just think the opposite. Like, just think
yeah,
whatever.
so just think the opposite of what I just said, okay, about who's favored. All right, so if Houston is, just to go back over it, if Houston's +3, and that means they're not favored, they're being given 3 points, and they're still going to lose. Then if Kansas City's favored, then I have Houston upsetting and beating the spread or whatever, and I have Cincinnati upsetting and beating the spread, and you do as well. So whichever one it is, just remember this, guys, because we don't bet. I just want to do the spread because someone asked me to. And then Minnesota is +405, so they're down 405, which would make sense. So far I have all underdogs winning, not all favorites, if that's the way. Whichever one it is. I have Minnesota winning this game. They were hot when they need to be hot. Seattle is too, but they did something different in Seattle. And Seattle's may end up winning this game, but I've got Minnesota because they went to Green Bay and did what they had to do to win the division. They had to beat Green Bay and Lambeau. They did what in my eyes was like a Giants move. They had to face the best team in the league and know that Packers weren't the best team in the league, but the best team in the division. But the Giants faced the Patriots, the best team in their league, in Week 17 of the 2007 season or whatever, and they knew then, okay, all right, we're good enough. We're good enough to face. I mean, we're a good team, and then they got hot. Now Minnesota has to get hot. Minnesota could just die out. So, but I'm predicting that they'll stay hot, and Minnesota will win at home since they earned this home game. They will go at home and beat Seattle. And cover the spread. Spread is 4.5. That's a hard one. But I think Minnesota. I'll say Minnesota wins and covers the spread still.
Man, I don't know, man, because you know that offensive line, man. It's like a roof with like painted like purple. It's fucking terrible. Like it's awful, man. Like I don't know, man. Like it would have to come down to balance. They would have to be able to use the play action. Teddy's gonna have to be able to make some plays, throw it, and I don't know if he's gonna make enough plays.
AP
though.
is beast.
I'm gonna go with the Seahawks.
You got Martin, AP versus and Marshawn Lynch might not play.
Yeah, but I don't think that ball is going.
So yeah.
But yeah, like I got Seattle, man. I think they're better. I think they have the better defense. I think they agree with Teddy all day. Teddy gonna have a long afternoon. I feel bad for him. I really like that guy. But yeah, I got Seattle.
So you got Seattle, and you have them covering the spread, so they would win.
I don't fucking know, man.
He doesn't know. All right, that's fine. That's okay. I'm just asking for me. I don't know either. I say the Minnesota just wins and they cover the spread, but whatever. Because this next one I have no clue what it's trying to say. It says PK, so whatever that means. I don't know what that means. We're not gonna. I'll just say whatever whatever on that one. But all right, so I have Minnesota, you have Seattle. So we split on that one. That's our second one we split. So far we've only agreed on one. We'll see about this next game. Then you have the Green Bay Packers, the offensive line-less Packers, the Aaron Rodgers can't get rid of the ball Packers against at Washington. You like that? You like that? Who would have thought, Markeem, going into that draft, that Kirk Cousins would have a chip on his shoulder? I'm telling you, there's something about if a guy wants to play with a chip on his shoulder, there's something about it. And Kirk Cousins has done that this year. He's played with a chip on his shoulder. RG3, hopefully we'll get a shot somewhere else and to see if he can revamp his career for your sake. I know you love him. I think someone said Houston. What? You don't want him in Houston? Is that what you're saying?
No, I'm saying I hate that he's struggling.
Oh, yeah, right. I mean, it's sad. I'm sure it's killing you to see. Like, there's so many RG3 jokes that my friend who's a Redskins fan says, man, that guy's getting more playing time than RG3, and it'll be like a reporter that just like walks onto the field or something. Oh, it's just it's sad to see, but he'll get a new start. I don't know. I think that obviously they're gonna cut him or trade him or either. I mean something. I don't know. Maybe they'll just keep him on the roster or something, but I don't think they will. So will he get another shot? That's kind of just up to how the chips fall. Like Tebow. I'm not to make a joke, but Tebow did what he had to do in a sense, even though his stats weren't the case. He proved himself that he had like spots of goodness, spots of being able to play quarterback in Denver. He left Denver. He had according to sources that I know, he had a choice to choose between the Jets and the Jags. He chose the Jets. I think he chose wrong, so he had to pay the consequences of that. They never wanted to really play him in the Jets because I don't know why. They're the Jets. That's fine. And so then after that, he basically sucked. He went to New England. Wasn't willing to switch positions at that point because he had already pretty much doomed himself at quarterback. It's kind of like it's just a lot of things going into play for that, and I think he doomed himself in New England, and he may be back. You never know. Tebow may be back. I doubt it. I seriously doubt it because I think he's found his niche, like you said. But anyway, so that's what I'm saying. So Tebow had to go through that. We'll see what RG3's story will be. We can't predict that. We just have to sit back and kind of watch. But anyways, after ranting about that, Green Bay at Washington. I'll let you go first, Marquis.
Oh man, I guess you kind of have to go with Washington.
They're the hotter team. They're definitely the hotter team.
Here's something though. Kirk Cousins has never had a good game against a team that is a winning team. That would lead you to believe, oh well, Washington in general hasn't beaten any team that with a winning record all year.
They haven't really.
No,
like right now, like winning record. That's crazy.
Yeah, no team with a winning record. Like, right now.
After the season's over now. Right.
Yeah. With that being said, though, it's good for Kirk Cousins that the Packers are on a good team right now. So, I think that Washington will win, but I'm not saying that with a whole lot of confidence because it's Aaron Rodgers with his season on the line. You know what I mean? With his pride on the line. And they're getting that offensive lineman back. I forget his name. So they should be a little bit better, but he cannot hold the ball like he has been. But I'm going Washington, but not with a whole lot of confidence because they don't like to win and succeed. So.
That's right. I mean, this is going to be like Kirk Cousins is going to have to play the game of his life. I honestly believe that because Aaron Rodgers is going to play the game of his life. I saw him against Minnesota. That dude left everything out on the table. He made mistakes. He threw that interception because he was trying to force something, but it was fourth down. People. Like, of course he threw an interception. I mean, he forced it, yes, and he could have had it if he could have been calmer or something, or done this or that. But bottom line, he had to throw it. It was fourth down. He couldn't take a sack. If he took a sack, good lord, we'd never hear the end of it. So you're still gonna hear the end of it regardless. So,
he's been sacked 48 times this year.
I mean, I thought Brady was leading the league. No, he's not even close. Not as far as that. I think it's Rodgers. I think Rodgers is still behind some people for the league. I think, isn't he? Or
Yeah,
I think there are some bad teams that, like, I'm talking about good teams, because I think there's some bad teams that, like, I don't remember who off the top of my head. I saw the stat because they showed it in the Kirk Cousins or the last Packers game or something like that. So I think it was last Packers game. But look, Aaron Rodgers is gonna have that another guy we just talked about. Why does it seem like all these guys that end up succeeding for the most part? It's not always the case, but a lot of guys that succeed have that chip on their shoulder. He still has that chip on his shoulder, even though he went down in the first round. Like he didn't go when he was supposed to go, but he only fell he fell a lot, but he fell in the first round. Where you got Brady who fell in the sixth round, you got other guys that Kirk Cousins who was taken after the guy that was supposed to be the franchise guy. Now he's the franchise guy, in a sense. So yeah, there's so much stories in each one of these games that I love that, and I think either one can win. As you know, like you're torn on some of these games. I am too. I look at the Minnesota pick and I'm like, I don't know about spread doesn't matter, but I mean. I don't know about that one either, but I just went with what team I thought I liked the most. And in this game, I have to go with the team that I just have the most confidence in from the history of how things go. Like I always say about the Patriots, I got to go with Green Bay. I've got to go with that bad man. I could be wrong, and I'll admit that I'm wrong because I think Kirk Cousins can very much win this game. But if I have to put my faith in somebody, it's going to be Aaron Rodgers. So I know that offensive line is garbage, and I know he has no one to throw to in a sense, just like Brady has had to struggle with, even though he's got talent, but they're just not getting open. And that's the thing with Brady. Brady had receivers at times, but sometimes when they don't get open, like the opposite of Brady and Rodgers this year is Brady's getting that ball off faster than he's ever had getting it off because that's why he has so many incompletions he hasn't had that many, but Brady has a lot of incompletions and his percentage isn't as high as it could be because he's having to constantly let it go, even though it's actually leading the league or not leading the league. It's like third or something like that. Let's see. What is it? It is actually Kirk Cousins leads in percentage, 69.8. So that's pretty shocking. Then it's Breeze, Russell.
Huh? Kirk Cousins was dinking and dunking all over the field for like 6 weeks.
Because do what you're supposed to do. What makes your team the best, right? And that's what they're doing for him. I think Jay Gruden's doing a good job with that. Drew Brees, Wilson, Roethlisberger, Stafford. I mean, Brady's not even in the top 10 in completion percentage. He's actually 12th. Oh gosh, Big Rat will have the stat of his life with that. Guess who's in front of him? Sam Bradford. Also threw 100 times less, but that's beside the point, I guess. But and also Brady has thrown 624 times. Some of the people that are ahead of him have only thrown 400 and less than 400. Dalton, Bridgewater, Alex Smith, Russell Wilson, and Ben Roethlisberger are all under him. Kirk Cousins is only throwing it 543 times. So it's like, as far as attempts, I think Brady is second or first. Oh, yeah, Brady's third. Guess who threw for the most attempts? And I know I'm going off on like a stat tangent, but Phillip Rivers. Phillip Rivers had the most.
That don't surprise me at all. Huh? That don't surprise me at all.
That whole team was based on Phillip Rivers, especially with all the injuries. They had nothing. Melvin Gordon was kept going in and out and getting hurt. Like, they had to do what they had to do. So, but bottom line also that you have to understand is you have to look at every stat. And Aaron Rodgers, I believe, he's still top 10 in throwing touchdowns, interceptions. He's
this is a bad year for him with 31 touchdowns and 8
8 interceptions. I think if I'm doing it right now, I want to say that's one less than Brady, if I'm not mistaken. Oh, I can't do it like that. But anyways,
a bad year for Aaron Rodgers. My God, he's so fucking.
He's unbelievable, and I'm telling you, like. Do I believe, like me and you, he shouldn't be crowned before he's like actually done, like we were talking about with the greatest quarterbacks ever, but he deserves respect. So
he's so good, man. It's incredible.
Aaron Rodgers is second with most sacks. Blake Bortles is first. That's right, and that's because he's on the Jags. And get this, and this is another stat too about the Seattle Seahawks, which could go for your pick. I'll give it you a point instead of even though I got Minnesota winning. Russell Wilson, 40 sacks 45 times. Okay, his offensive line is garbage. It's worse than it is last year because they decided to make the dumbest trade in NFL history. Now, again, not the dumbest in NFL history, but the dumbest trade in a while. Let's get rid of offensive line guy for a tight end we're not going to use, or tight end we don't need. We'll use him here and there, but we don't need him. So he's on IR now, and they need to trade him in the offseason or cut him or whatever. They don't need him because they don't need him for their offense, but they need an offensive line. They need to trade him back to the Saints for offensive line. Or they could trade him to the Patriots. I would, Gronk and, but if we can't give him an offensive lineman, so there goes that. But, what I was saying is, like, Russell Wilson has had the worst offensive line he had way more than last year, and guess what? His stats are better. Why? Because he's having to go outside of the pocket, and that's where he's the best.
Yep.
And people said, well, I don't like Russell Wilson. He's too short. Exactly. He is too short, so he's not a pocket passer. He has to go out. Why is he having the best year this year than last year? Because he's a better quarterback outside of the pocket. Rodgers is a better quarterback outside of the pocket, in a sense. He can be both, and Rodgers can.
Oh, I don't know about that one.
Yeah, that one's rough because he can be both. Because obviously his stats aren't the best this year. This is an off year for him, so I don't know exactly. He's a rare breed. But when it comes to like Tom Brady's better in the pocket. Obviously, he can't throw outside the pocket. So that's the thing about Aaron Rodgers. That golly, I'm going off on Aaron Rodgers like I'm talking about Brady. I hate this moment right now. But he's a bad man. I gotta give him respect. Even though I like my boy better. But when it's said and done, Aaron Rodgers, maybe I might be eating my words about Aaron Rodgers might be the best ever because he'll be up there in the conversation. You can't say best ever because you just don't know. They have to win Super Bowls, of course, to even be in the freaking conversation for most people. So who knows? But
I think talent
Talent wise,
wise,
is a lot.
he's already in that goddamn
Oh,
conversation.
he's already. Yeah, that's what we talked about the thing. But because it's so young, you got like calm down. He don't need to be in the top 10 right now. We know talent wise he is, but just come on, top 10 greatest ever. He'll get there, but that's the only thing that I would say about that. Just don't slow your roll. You don't have to go too fast about it. But yeah, Rodgers is going to be there, and I think say this Packers team goes all the way to the Super Bowl, I don't know how, but if he just carries them to the Super Bowl and they lose, or they carries them to the Super Bowl and they win, I think a lot of people will open their eyes a little more. That doubters like me, I guess. I didn't doubt him, but I doubted everybody's praise for him. But that dude's just a bad man. They were just right and I was wrong. So I can gladly admit that, and that's why I just can't bet against Aaron Rodgers and against Minnesota, even despite his offensive line. Just like I wouldn't ever be able to bet against Brady if I honestly thought they were the best team. So that's it. That's our picks. I've got Green Bay. You've got Washington. I've got Minnesota. You've got Seattle. We both got Cincinnati. Huh?
National
Oh
championship
yeah, we
game.
gotta pick that. But I've got the only one we agree on is Cincinnati. So we'll see. So we both have Cincinnati, and then you have Kansas City, and I have Houston. So the championship game, Markeem. Would you like to go first? Or you want me to go first? Because I have some stuff to say. You said you didn't have much to say. So you go ahead.
Um, I'm actually rooting for Bama. A lot of people are probably shocked to hear that. Um, I'll explain why. Because the truth be told, I have no problem with Clemson. I have no qualms with Clemson. My thing is that people go overboard with their praise of the SEC, and it's annoying. It's annoying. And the people that hate the SEC think Alabama is showing favoritism, and a part of that is true. But I think a lot of people just completely dismiss the fact that Nick Saban is that elite. Like, it's never been the SEC that's been super dominant. It's really just been Bama. You know what I mean? Like, it's really been Bama really, like, carrying that flag, that the SEC is so dominant and great. And I think that a lot of people have lost sight of that, which is why I want Nick Saban to win, so people can go, oh, well, yeah, it really is just Bama.
Right, exactly.
You know what I mean? Like I respect what he's done there so much. Now that would mean Lane Kiffin getting a championship, and that don't sit right with me. But I'll sacrifice that if it means Nick Saban
But if
gets
they
another
lose, you
one.
have a great argument. You can say that Lane Kiffin cursed them.
Yeah, maybe. But with that being said, I think that Bama wins in a very close game. I think that
They're favored by 7, by the way. I thought it had gone up to 12, but they're still favored by 7. We are reading it wrong. We're reading it right now, but we were reading it wrong at first.
that's ridiculous. By the way, that's
It was
absolutely
going to be
ridiculous.
12, that's when I'll go off on when you're done. But
But Clemson, Deshaun Watson is a mobile quarterback, which is you know one of Nick Saban's weaknesses to coach against. But I think the difference this year is that he has a front seven that can attack the quarterback. And before, like he would recruit a lot of big guys that would stop the run, that'll maybe try and manhandle offensive line. But now he has like a lot of fast, athletic dudes on this defense, that front seven. And I think they'll be able to get after Deshaun Watson. I think Derrick Henry will not be denied. I think that they have no answer for him. I think he'll run right at them. You know what I mean? I don't think they can do anything about it. I think it's going to be close as hell. I think it has the opportunity to get high scoring. I don't think it will, but it could. And I got Bama in a really close, exciting game.
all right, so you got Bama. Now, strap in, baby, because I'm about to go off a little bit. So obviously, I've been rooting against Clemson all freaking season. I mean, I'm a Gamecock fan. Of course, I'm going to root against Clemson. But here's the deal. It comes to a point that no matter what they're your rival or if they're not, you have to understand that a team is great. You have to or a team is great at what they're doing. Whether you think that they play in a weak ACC, which a lot of SEC fans have keep bringing up, I've never said the ACC is good. Don't bring up points that I'm not agreeing with to argue your point. The ACC has been weak, if you would agree, Markeem, this year. Um,
I'll say average.
what?
I say
Average,
average.
okay, average. I mean, yeah, weeks too a little too strong because they have had teams at least make the bowl games. They're just not winning them. As far as like Florida State losing to Utah, which was a good team by the way, and which I want to ask you real quick because I just thought about that. If Utah would have went undefeated, would you have put them in the playoff?
Lost to Houston.
Huh?
It was Houston.
Oh, not Utah, Houston. Yeah, would you have put Houston in the playoff,
No,
even
no,
undefeated, if they hadn't lost?
no.
Dang, man, that's hard. How do you not do that though? Even not, just because they haven't played enough people, I guess.
They split the schedule, man.
So even after you would
But
still put Michigan State over them.
yeah,
Yes,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah. Plus, I don't
I
think
put Ohio State in
all
over
that.
them, but I don't put Michigan State over them. I don't. Well, yeah, I guess. Yeah, I guess you're right. Yeah, I guess you're right. Yeah, I guess they would fall under like behind Stanford, behind Michigan State, behind Ohio State, behind Michigan, maybe. I don't know.
Yeah.
They'd come in there somewhere, but they're a good team. Let's just put it that way. Anyways, so the bottom line is, like, you look at a team. If the team goes undefeated, they still go undefeated. That's not easy to do. I don't care what you say. That's not easy to do in a big conference. Okay, so they went undefeated. They struggled against us, yes, and the game was closer than it should have been. But we're rivals, and if we can't put up a decent game against a rival, even if, after losing to Citadel the game week before, which is a laughing stock, like, you might as well just quit. Like, everybody says, well, everybody plays. Clemson and Carolina only play for that one game. It's not necessarily true. It's partially true because that game is the most important game of the season. But you have to have that mindset. Same thing like I said with the Patriots and people and their rivals, or what they're doing. You have to have that mindset that every game is important. But when you get to that game, then you can know that this game is even that more important. But you have to wait till that game comes around. And I think that's what Clemson and Carolina have struggled with, knowing that they keep looking ahead to that game. And this year, Clemson didn't look ahead. They just took every game by every game. And so when they played them, it was a big game. So they lost. I mean, Clemson beat us or whatever. Went to the ACC championship game. Still didn't look pretty against North Carolina, but they got it done. And people are forgetting the fact that Clemson all Clemson needs to do is win. If they win the national championship by 1 point, you can say all the heck you want to say about them. But guess what? In the grand scheme of things, they won, people. You can't scream SEC when Clemson wins by, oh, the SEC is great. They're great. They lost. But they're great. They're great. They lost. But it was only by 1 point. They lost. Do you not understand what I'm saying in that concept? Well, Nick Saban didn't have. They lost. Just say it. I mean, it's not that hard. Like, what's so wrong with saying?
And no one that watched the SEC this year could tell me that was a good conference.
And that's what I said. I argued with my cousin over and over again, and he goes, "You're gonna tell me Clemson play more play?" I told him this, and he could not believe this. And Markeem, tell me if I'm wrong. Maybe I was going a little too extreme with this. I said, switch Alabama and Clemson this season. Clemson still goes undefeated.
I don't know about
right.
that.
And it's a bold statement. I get that.
It's possible. It's possible, but
and he said, "You're crazy. They'd had 3 losses." I'm like, get out of here. I'm like, Alabama gave up 40 points to Ole Miss, and he could not give me a good answer for that. It's like, they gave up 40 points to Ole Miss, who, yes, they ended up being ranked higher. So I ended up eating my words because I said they lost to Ole Miss, who had 3 losses.
Ole Miss had a great offense.
Huh?
Ole Miss had a great offense.
Yeah, right, and that's where I missed, because they were still ranked high. I thought they had actually been unranked, but I forgot so many people lost in so many tight situations. But anyways, I'm saying all that because I've gotten to where I had Bama winning a close game. I had Bama winning by 7, which is the spread, which is crazy. Even though I said the spread was ridiculous, because when I saw the spread, I said the spread itself and the favorite in this game should be Clemson, but because of the SEC bias, it's Alabama. And maybe Alabama should be favored, and that's fine if you think that. I just think Clemson should have got the nod, and if not, Bama did play a harder schedule probably and harder to get to the point.
Huh? Either way would have been fine. It's just that spread shouldn't be 7.
Yeah, it should be set 3, yeah, something like that. So 7 is ridiculous. Then when I heard 12, that's when I lost it. I went off on every Gamecock fan, everybody that said that Clemson's not going to win. I'm like, look, I hate Clemson. That will not change. And I said that on Facebook. I have a guy that knows that I hate Clemson, that I've ragged about him because he always brags about Clemson and beating ACC teams. And I was like, and I'm not like other people, but I'm like, all right, dude, calm down just a little bit. It's not that great. So even I told him, I was like, dude, you know me. I hate the game. I am a Gamecock fan. I hate Clemson. But this team is good, and it deserves respect to even be considered to be not the favorite, -7 and even -12, which I obviously must have. If it went to -12, it's back down to -7. So I don't know how that works, but if it at any point was at 12, and the fact that it's at 7 is disrespectful to the number 1 team in the nation, is disrespectful to an undefeated team. And what happens when you disrespect somebody? What happens when they have a chip on their shoulder? We've already talked about that. We've established that this whole entire time. Clemson's winning this game. I have no doubt in my mind Clemson's winning this game. I don't know how. I don't know how it's going to go. I don't know. The score is probably my prediction of the score is that Clemson wins by like 3-7. I don't. That's all I know. It could be a field goal. It could be a late block kick to interception. I don't know how it's going to end. Block kick interception. I don't know what that means, but it could be anything. Clemson's winning this game, and it's going to painfully. I hope I'm wrong. I hope Bama wins. I told this to every argument I made. At the end of the argument, I said, you know what? Bottom line, you do know I hope you're right. And they looked at me so confused. They're like, why? Because your argument for Clemson to win. I was like, yeah, because my football knowledge mind says Clemson. My heart says, go Bama. Because I hate Clemson. I hate them. It's like Marquine. Say this was, I don't know, good Virginia Tech versus who? I don't know what would be a good, not Virginia Tech, Virginia versus somebody. Like,
Yeah, fuck it.
huh? Yeah. If this was Virginia versus Bama, what would you think?
Roll Tide.
Exactly. That's another thing. Do it for the state montage, or what do you want to call it? Do it for the state. No, we're not doing nothing for the state, because guess what? Clemson winning doesn't do anything for the state. It does. It does do a lot for the state, but it doesn't do it all for the state. Like, it actually hurts Carolina. It does nothing for the Gamecocks. Is what I was saying.
Damn thing for the Gamecocks. It does nothing for the Gamecocks.
It does stuff for the state because South Carolina gets noticed, Clemson gets noticed. Recruits are going to want to go play there regardless if they win or lose. But if they win, if there's a recruit deciding Carolina or Clemson, if they lose, then maybe that maybe makes them, all right, I'll stick with Carolina. I want to see Carolina be the first one to get a national championship. Clemson had another one, but like in the playoff era, I want the Gamecocks to be the first one. So he goes to the Gamecocks and plays for them. Because you don't know this, but there's actually a Conway wide receiver that was really good. And I saw him because he plays my team, Georgetown High School. Which, by the way, I also have to mention this. Clemson's receiver, the reason why I also kind of feel myself not rooting for Clemson, but rooting for the player Hunter Renfrow. Hunter Renfrow is a beast. No one knows this of his story like I know it, because he was a walk-on for Clemson. I think he was a walk-on, or he was close to that. And now he's like starting, or he's like one of the top receivers due to injuries and all this other stuff. This guy was a beast at Sockasty High School in South Carolina. I don't know if you would know his backstory or not, but I know his backstory, so that's why I'm telling it. But he played my high school, Georgetown High School, and that's where I went to school. But that's where I do stats for them now. I'm the stat guy for them. I'm the one that keys in all the stats for the game. So I'm able to watch. I can't watch all of high school football, obviously, but anytime any of our players, any of their players, and I saw him literally. There's a long story. I won't go into the thing, but there's a little inside joke about everything with them, because I did a video basically, and Hunter Renfrow saw it and showed it to the team at Sockasty, and they ended up crushing us, absolutely destroying us. Even though it was close early on, they destroyed us, and they actually used that video against me, but they were using it to the team. They actually had a sign that says, "Don't like, how's that grass taste?" And you understand it if you know the context of the video, but I'm not going to go into that. I can tell that story another time, but Hunter Renfrow is a beast, and ever since that moment, I respected him because that dude played his heart out. He played quarterback, receiver, running back. I mean, he could probably play kicker if he wanted to. The dude is talented, and I'm glad that he's finally getting his shine. And I'm not gonna not root for him because he's playing for Clemson. I want Clemson to lose, but Hunter Renfrow, I want to succeed because I've seen him before this stage. It's kind of like when you see a college player that you hate, but then they go to the next stage and you can root for them because they go to your team. Kind of like that. Well, I knew Hunter Renfrow at Sockasty. He was a rival for Georgetown, but I knew how good he was, so now he went to Clemson. Now he's a rival still, so he'll probably play in the NFL for the Jets at this rate. But I'm just saying. But anyway, so Hunter Renfrow, congratulations, and you're not listening to this, but I'm just saying congratulations on getting there. It's cool to see when you follow a player from high school to college, and to see him eventually, if he decides to go to the pros, would be really cool. So I got Clemson. That's all I can say. Hunter Renfrow, we're going to be rooting for him. I'm not rooting for Clemson, but I'm rooting for in a sense, I'm not rooting for Clemson. Obviously, I want them to lose. I want Hunter Renfrow to have a great game, and I want Clemson to throw like 8 interceptions and Bama to win. But if Clemson wins, I'm going to be like, somehow I told you so, just doesn't quite say it.
I don't think people realize how convincing Clemson's win against Oklahoma was. Like, a lot of people don't understand. Oklahoma averages 45 points a game. They shut them out in the second half.
They played.
They had
something about Clemson in the second half. They played pissed off, man.
No, they attempted one kick in the second half. Like Oklahoma got destroyed in that
First
second
half,
half. This is one of this is one of the most prolific offenses in all of college
you
football,
know,
and they did nothing in that
you know
second
what people
half.
saw, Markeem. This is the struggle that they don't understand. They saw uh, Oklahoma last year and said, "Oh, we creamed that team," or they creamed that team, 40-6. Of course, they're going to beat Oklahoma. No, this is a different Oklahoma team.
Definitely a different Oklahoma team. Did you see what they did to Baylor?
Did you see what they
Did you
Clemson
see how they
first
went to
half?
halftime territory?
They had Clemson in that first half, and then the second half, Clemson said, "We're not accepting this. We're better than this."
Like think about it this way: like Clemson almost lost to UNC. You know what I mean? And Baylor destroyed UNC. They had 700 rushing yards against
Yep.
USC. I mean UNC, and Oklahoma beat that team. That team Oklahoma beat, and Clemson blew them off the field. Man, like that is a really good
And same
team.
thing with North Carolina. They struggled against Clemson struggled against North Carolina, but yet they destroyed Oklahoma.
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
it's the
Like
same.
blew them off the field,
Markeem, we were
man.
still doing YouTube take when this happened. Remember, I said I would never take Notre Dame in a game again because they pissed me off so much. Um, with Clemson, they would make me even more mad if they stunk the bed in this game. Because I would be like, I don't care what y'all have done. Y'all literally made me look like an idiot again because all everybody cares about is what have you done for me lately. So I'm gonna hate Clemson even more. So that's the perfect scenario. Okay, if they win, they win. If they get creamed, I can hate them even more. I can say, you know what? I'm never even having faith in that team ever again. I'm not having faith because I don't want them to win. But
They blocked for Deshaun Watson. Man, I don't think it's gonna happen like that.
yeah, I don't see any. I just don't see a blowout. I don't see it on the Bama side. I don't see it on the Clemson side. And I'll tell you, this is how I see the game going. Obviously, the game there's just you can't predict football as far as like how a game's gonna go. You can, for the most part, predict where it's gonna do, but you're not gonna predict like a random interception, pick six. Like you can't predict that stuff. So, regardless of all that being happening, you can predict maybe throwing an interception, but like as far as what happens, fumbles, you can't predict fumbles. It's just impossible. You can predict that maybe they might fumble, but
And I also wanted to say, Bama's shutout of Michigan State has been kind of overrated. Because I mean, don't get me
13
wrong,
nothing and a
that's the
half,
biggest
13 nothing and a half.
yeah. But like, not even just that. Like, Connor Cook has been hurt for like a month. I think that like we all know this. Like, he's been hurt for like a month. So like, your starting quarterback is fucking hurt. Like you know what I mean? Like, I don't know,
And
man.
here's
I
the
don't
thing
know.
too.
Like, it's
I saw that score and it was 13 to nothing, -9 rushing yards. Bama is not going to be hard. It's not going to be easy for Clemson, but Clemson proved it wasn't easy in the first half against Clemson, or it wasn't easy for Clemson in the first half until they adjusted and realized that they could what they needed to do to win the game. So I think they adjust. I think Bama wins. I think Bama leads at half 10 to nothing at least. I really believe that. They're not gonna score much. It's not gonna maybe it's 7-0. Maybe it's 3-0. I mean that Bama could Bama's defense and Clemson defense could both do that. So it could be a very 3-3 game or something like that. But I think in the second half is when Clemson's going to take over and Alabama's going to be fighting as well. Whoever's leading at half, the other team's going to be coming back. So if they're down at all, if it's tied, good lord, strap in. If it's 3-3, it means strap in. So I got Clemson. You got Alabama. Good shocker because we're pretty much diverse. I think we've given everybody a diverse view of things in this show, NFL and this. We were going to talk about NFL awards and stuff, but I think we can just stop right here because awards and stuff aren't exactly relevant right now because
I'd rather have the kid here to
yeah,
do
they're
that.
not relevant right now anyway because they're not done until right before the Super Bowl. So you got more time to think about it. I have no clue at 5 o'clock in the morning who's going to win the MVP.
I know two awards, real quick. I'll say without giving any explanation. I think Cam Newton is the MVP, and I think Josh Norman is the Defensive Player of the Year.
Josh Norman. Did you say that again for me, please?
I said I think Josh Norman is the Defensive Player of the Year. And I think Cam Newton is the MVP.
Can you tell me where Josh Norman went to college?
Shut up, Phil.
Coastal Carolina University. Thank you. Oh man, I'm so glad to see them being put on the map. By the way, he was a walk-on too. Just to say. Anyway, so never give up. I guess is the story of Josh Norman.